All right, let's talk about something huge. We're diving into the 4 critical mistakes that are probably wrecking your mock test scores and holding you back from where you want to be. Let's get right into it. Does this sound familiar? You're putting in the hours, you're grinding through mock test after mock test, but your score just flatlines. It hits a wall and won't budge. It is incredibly frustrating, and it can really feel like you're just spinning your wheels. Trust me, you're not alone in this. But the good news? It is absolutely fixable. And just to show you how high the stakes are, listen to this. The person whose experience we're drawing from said, and I quote, "Their entire first attempt was missed because of these 4 errors only." So this isn't just some nice-to-know theory. This is the real deal, stuff that can literally save you from making the same exact mistakes. So, what are these score-killing mistakes? Let's break them down one by one. By the time we're done here, you're going to be able to look at your own performance and know exactly what you need to zero in on. So, first up, the big one. This is error number 1, the conceptual gap. And this is the most fundamental problem you can have. This isn't about being a little slow or making a silly mistake. It's about a real, honest-to-goodness hole in your understanding of the topic itself. So what does a conceptual gap actually feel like during a test? Well, it's that moment you're staring at, say, a percentages question, and you're just drawing a blank. You have no clue what formula to even use, or maybe you try solving a trigonometry problem, but your answer isn't even in the same universe as the options. That feeling of being completely and totally lost, yep, that's a conceptual gap. So how do we fix it? It's a really clear 3-step process. First, during the mock test, the second you realize you have a conceptual gap, skip the question. Seriously, don't waste a single second on it. Second, after the mock, that's when you go back and analyze that question. And third, you go back and you master the theory. Read the chapter, find a video, whatever it takes to plug that hole for good. Okay, now for our second error. And you know, this one might just be the most painful of them all. The simple, absolutely devastating calculation slip. The source material actually calls this the world's biggest mistake. And it's pretty hard to argue with that. Why? Because you did all the heavy lifting. You understood the concept, you chose the right strategy, but then a tiny mistake in your addition turns a guaranteed correct answer into a wrong one. It's just brutal. And this right here shows you the real cost. In any exam with negative marking, a calculation error doesn't just mean you get 0 points for all your hard work. Oh no, it's so much worse. You get -1. You are actively punished for a silly mistake that had nothing to do with your actual knowledge. And because of that, this has to be your #1 priority to fix, period. It's the lowest hanging fruit there is for improving your score. Your goal, starting right now with your very next mock, should be 0, absolutely 0 calculation errors. These are completely avoidable points you're leaving on the table. All right, on to our third major error. This one is sneaky. It's not about what you don't know, it's about what you don't see. We are talking about misleading reads. You see, a misleading read is when you solve a question perfectly, but it's the wrong question. You misunderstand what they're asking, you make your own little assumption, or you just flat out miss one single crucial word. The concept was there, the math was perfect, but your interpretation was off. And what's wild is just how simple this error can be. The question asks which could not be true, but you're in a hurry, your brain is racing, and you just see which could be true. So you find the first true option, you mark it, and you move on, feeling great, completely sure you nailed it. But in reality, you guaranteed you got it wrong. And that brings us to our fourth and final error, the one that looms over every single competitive exam, the time trap. This is all about the crushing pressure of the clock and how it forces you into all the other mistakes. You remember that feeling in school, right? When the teacher's at the front of the room saying, "Pens down," and starts collecting the papers while you're still frantically trying to finish? Well, multiply that feeling by 1,000. In a high-stakes exam where you might only get 1 shot a year, that time pressure is just immense. And it can cause you to rush, to guess, and to make mistakes on questions you actually know how to solve. So, how do you manage it? Well, first things first, we need to completely destroy a myth. A lot of people say, oh, just spend 2 minutes per question. That is just wrong. As you can see here, the reality is that some questions might take you 30 seconds, while others could easily need 3 whole minutes. The key is not some rigid one-size-fits-all rule. So here's the solution. It's all about flexible time management. Forget a fixed time per question. Instead, you need to think in terms of a balanced average. You have to learn how to juggle your time, banking those precious seconds on easier questions so you can spend them on the tougher ones. Your real goal is just to make sure you finish all the easy and moderate questions you can possibly solve. Okay, now that we've broken down these 4 huge errors, let's totally reframe the whole point of taking a mock test in the first place. It's not about trying to get a perfect score. It's actually about something much, much smarter. And here it is. This is probably the single most important takeaway from this whole thing. Your goal for your next mock is not to be perfect. Your goal is to make a new mistake. Stop repeating the same conceptual gaps, the same calculation slips, the same misreads, the same time traps. If you're going to make a mistake, make sure it's a brand new one you've never made before. That is what real progress looks like. So, I'm going to leave you with this question to really think about. Go back and look at your last mock test. Analyze your mistakes through this new framework. Which one of these 4 errors is costing you the most points? Which one is going to be your number one priority to eliminate? Deciding that is your very first step to finally breaking through that plateau.